Hello, Tyler Barnes here. About 4 or 5 months ago, I smoked some sativa and got very paranoid, and the paranoia did not go away for, about 3 weeks. That was probably the scariest time of my life. I had what you would call a psychological break, so it was pretty bad. During that time I experienced what some people might call gang stalking. I'm making this video because I have a couple friends, Tyler, whom I care a lot about, and Tony, who I like very much. They were both familiar with gang stalking, and there's not a lot out there about it. So I decided I'd make a video. Now, just makes things clear here. I'm not a believer or non-believer. I'm curious. I always have an open mind. I got one foot on the ground, one foot in the sky. But these tactics, known as gang stalking, are based on real exercises, real tactics used by military, and developed by the Nazis. It was developed as a non-contact, a touchless weapon that would drive their enemies insane and suicidal. And these tactics are very real, and I'm sure are being used one way or another. In my case, I don't believe they were used on me, but I can see a lot of parallels, and a lot of interesting things happen to me. One aspect I'd like to bring into about gang stalking is the electronic age, how everything is in your phone, on your computer. You can get hacked, you can get followed. Someone could be sitting in their room and following you, and these things are real, and they're kind of scary, and we're giving away our rights and freedoms by buying into this electronic age. I mean, it does make things convenient, but on 3 occasions I've looked at the battery on a phone, the battery that's in my phone, and I found these flat microchip like wrappers on 3 occasions. I heard about it once, I took out my phone, I undid the sticker that's on the battery itself, and voila, it had this microchip looking grid, and I was like, wow, it's real. But when I went kind of crazy, I believed even helicopters were following me. But I was walking through the woods, and I took out my phone and I cut out the back, and lo and behold, there was another one of those chips. Now, why are those there? Now, I'm sure you can figure it out if you do a little bit of digging, but that's the kind of stalking that, like, once you become a targeted individual, it's very easy to follow you and watch your every move. It's just so easy. Now you got houses that talk, and smart houses are, kind of stupid, but but safety and security, right, guys? Gang stalking, they do use electronic, like 5G is a very high frequency microwave internet capability, but the waves are so dense that they can actually penetrate your skin and mess with your organs and your brain and all sorts of things like that. 5G is being set up slowly all over the world, and it's dangerous, it's harmful, it's scary. You can see what's in a room by projecting these waves everywhere, and then when they come back, you can draw a grid of what a room looks like, just like sonar would find something. Now, the Nazis were harsh into this because it's very effective. It's a form of gaslighting, and it's very powerful. Usually it's only one individual at a time and used to pacify people, citizens, and make them more obedient, to say the least. What I experienced was 90% of the people around me were on their phones, looking through, probably checking their texts, but because of my mind state, I felt that they were watching me. They would also say things that meant something to me, and almost like they'd studied me and knew what to say to kind of push me. You know what I'm saying? There's a story about a man in a bar, and there are about 6 people who know who he is, but he doesn't know who they are. And they want to mess with this guy just for fun, right? So as they walk by him, go to the washroom, they whisper his name. And one person does it, it's like, that's strange. 6 people do it, it's like, okay. So he would ask, are you guys saying my name? And they would say no. Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And eventually he cracked outside the bar, and he'd gone insane. He'd been pushed over the edge because of this game that these people were playing. Now, I've always been a believer that there's 2 sides to everything. There's a psychic side, and then there's the material side. And the psychic side is very spiritual. It's kind of magic side. In gang stalking, this world can exist, but it's very overwhelming for most people and can take people out. For instance, if you're seeing people, who's to say those people aren't there, just in another dimension, or in another world, or projections of thought, and who knows, maybe everything is a projection of thought. So these things could be real, but they're very, very scary, and they can hurt, they can harm you. Now, if you look at Joan of Arc, who heard voices that told her to go out and murder all these people, or Napoleon, who had a little devil on his shoulder telling him what to do, these psychic interactions can be powerful and can infect a lot of people. You have clairvoyants, you have all sorts of people that are tuned into this. But when you aren't prepared and you don't know what's going on, you can be taken. One thing I found interesting was my friend was saying that there's a biblical component to this. There's a light side and a dark side. For me, I felt like people were protecting me from something to do with the police, and getting turned into a vegetable. It was very real to me at the time, but most people don't feel like they're being protected. They feel like they're being harmed, and I imagine I can be a lot worse. I was kind of driven to self-harm, kind of. I was driven to self-harm by what I believe is just my mental state, and whatever. Like I'm if there's such a thing as targeted individuals, I don't get enough views or comments or anything on YouTube. In fact, I don't know how many people are going to watch this, probably not very many, so I don't see why I would be targeted. But the content in my videos was very edgy, MK Ultra, ISIS, the Mother Goddess, things that if I did have enough attention, it would make sense that I would be a TI or a targeted individual. But a 5G box was set up outside my house, and that's when things started getting a little squirrely. I mean, I blame the weed big time, because I've gotten paranoid off weed. I know that feeling. It's just usually it only lasts about an hour. But a good friend of mine who's experienced gang stalking mentioned the box and how it could be being targeted because, like I say, 5G is dangerous. It's penetrates your skin. It can manipulate your organs to a certain degree, your brain to a certain degree. This is real, and it's getting set up all over the place. Now, I just want to make things very, very, very clear. Whether or not I was targeted and this gang stalking thing happened to me, these tactics are real. They're 100% real. They're being used all the time. We're being watched. We're being monitored. If I did get thousands of views, I would be being watched more. It depends on the videos you watch on YouTube, the things you look up on the internet. Nothing is secret. Nothing is secret online. You are just working towards getting yourself targeted. But I mean, I like to believe the world is a good place. My friend who mentioned it was biblical said yes, he was being chased by a motif of the devil, something that represented the devil, and going up an escalator, being followed by this, looking at the top of the escalator, seeing someone who would represent an angel, kind of protected him, and the devil, whatever, turned around and left. But there's a layer, there's a world, there's a matrix on top of this matrix, and it's been hidden from everybody, but it's coming more clear. Like, the world goes through these cycles of magic and then destruction, and magic and destruction. Like, we're using tablets for we use tablets. These are things that have been mentioned in the esoteric histories, happening way back. And scrying into a black mirror is a lot like looking into your cell phone, which is a black mirror, right? Like, we used to think it was magic that you could see someone's face on the other end of a phone and you could talk to them. We used to believe this stuff was unattainable, just beyond our grasp. But it's becoming more and more clear that it's very real. So, gang stalking has affected a couple people I know's lives in such a manner that they are 100% certain that they have been targeted. Now, I believe these paranoid thoughts and delusions could just be that, right? But on the other hand, I was researching schizoaffective disorder, and one of the things it said is that these people suffer from delusions of childhood trauma. I believe that childhood trauma can cause it as well. If not delusions, then just being traumatized as a child can make your life very difficult. And can lead you to, if you get gaslit long enough, you're going to lose your sense of reality. You're going to look for the truth and try to reveal the truth, and you're going to get shut down over and over and over again. And it's going to mess with your sense of reality. These things happen to people. People get traumatized, and it does affect their lives. But there's usually a root cause. I believe there's a root cause to, like, people with schizophrenia usually have childhood trauma or delusions or whatever. I believe it's actual childhood trauma, and their way of dealing with it is by losing grasp of reality. And that's why with gang stalking you got to be careful, because you might just need the right medication, the right amount of sleep, good food, exercise. This might just all be in your head. And then, again, it might be real. But, the "are you sure" tactic is good to keep your feet on the ground. You know, ask yourself, are you sure? Are you sure? The answer will always be no, you're not sure. And that'll keep you a little grounded. And if you are getting gang stalked, and it's getting overwhelming, and it's taking you, find the people you love and trust. If you have any, talk to them, get closer to them, try and stay safe. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about gang stalking. Like I said, it's a real thing, but it could also be confused with a psychological disorder or a psychic break. So be careful, because I love all you guys, care about all you, live long and prosper, and you know, appropriate measures should be taken. So thank you very much. Have a good day.